Hey, Christy.
Hey, Edith.
What is a New Year's resolution?
What?
Something that goes in one year and out the other?
Yeah. Right. That's so true.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Christy.
And I'm Edith. We're backyard gardeners from Colorado.
And neighbors.
And friends.
These days, gardening has gotten very popular.
And we've noticed more and more people picking our brains for tips and troubleshooting about gardening.
We're not experts. We just learned a lot about gardening from the mistakes we made along the way.
So welcome to Upside Down Tulips,
a fun podcast that celebrates gardening gone wrong.
Upside Down Tulips.
Hello, Edith, way over there.
Hi, Christy. What, 8-10 feet away? Still?
Yes, we're back to being socially distanced again.
Yeah, we are. Well,
Happy
we're
New
careful. Year. We're careful people, you know?
Yeah.
And Happy New Year to you as well.
Hello, all gardeners and wannabe gardeners.
And anyone who is listening just because you dialed the wrong channel. It's not a channel, is it? What, did you hit the wrong button?
That's
Keep
right.
listening. This show can teach you something and give you some laughs, right?
We're glad that you're here.
Yes.
And this week, we're talking about our garden plans for 2022.
We are.
So much promise, so much potential.
Yeah, we haven't made any mistakes yet. That's the good part.
That's right. Clean slate.
Clean slate, baby. We're all forgiven for last year's mistakes. We're going to start off with a clean slate.
Hey, Edith, let's do a shout out to one of our members of the garden party.
Who?
This is Mary N. from Denver.
Thank you, Mary N.
Mary Ann is a supporter of Upside Down Tulips. That means she throws us a couple bucks a month to help support the work that we're doing because she wants garden tips and a couple laughs. And if you want to become a member of the garden party, you can just click on the link in the show notes or go to our website at upsidedowntulips.com.
Yeah, you could do that.
What's going on over there?
I don't know. I'm just back to
okay?
not having my papers in order.
Oh,
I need a much bigger table. That is what I need.
You know what? It's very true, Edith, because all we have for you down there is this tiny little...
It's like a TV tray.
It is a TV tray.
That a TV dinner would fit on, and I've got papers everywhere. I have one more thing to say about gardening before we start about growing a garden and plants. This is a really funny quote. Unemployment is capitalism's way of getting you to grow a garden.
Ah.
Now, I think we are urging people to grow gardens simply because everybody keeps talking about inflation, how the cost of things, groceries are going to go through the roof. This can save you a bundle.
It sure can. Yeah, there was a book out a couple years ago that talked about like the $150 tomato. Do you remember that? Like somebody figured it all out, like the cost it took to grow a tomato, to which I call baloney on all that stuff because they're not also counting also how great a homegrown tomato tastes.
Exactly. And the fact that you know where the source is, it's your backyard. And it's never going to cost $150. That's kind of an exaggeration.
Yeah, these are people who are getting all the expensive hooshy-fooshy stuff to gardening.
Hooshy-fooshy stuff.
Because, as we've talked before, that gardening has become a rich white person's hobby. And it doesn't have to be. People have been gardening for food and for enjoyment since human beings have walked upright.
Well, yeah, since we stopped spearing mastodons and whatnot, you have to eat something.
Yeah, so you don't need a lot of money to enjoy gardening.
Not at all. Follow our tips and tricks, and you'll see why.
Two mostly unemployed theater workers. As the theaters are slowly closing again.
Oh,
let's keep our fingers crossed, Edith, that they stay open. Because you're in rehearsal right now for a show.
Well, actually, it was delayed because of COVID. So we start on Monday.
Okay.
Starting on Monday.
That's going to feel great.
It's going to feel great with all the wonderful protocols we're keeping up with. Yes.
I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Here it is January, Edith. Do you have
January.
Anything to talk about what's going on in your garden?
Kind of. Like less than 2 weeks ago, Christy, my Swiss chard is still alive.
Oh, wow.
So I picked some and put it in a soup. It's unbelievable. Now, it's going to go down to 5 degrees in a few days, which is too cold even for Swiss chard.
Yeah, it's really, but we have not had a super hard frost.
It's not
finally got one.
Yeah. It's not too cold, however, for carrots and root vegetables like parsnips, and I picked some of those.
Well, last year I learned that trick from you, which is that if you have carrots in the ground and the ground is frozen, throw some warm water on it, let it soak in a little bit, and take a pitchfork, and you can harvest carrots and parsnips.
Yeah.
We've got a picture of that on Facebook of your carrots and parsnips that you just harvested.
And I left the dirt on. I left the soil on.
Very good, Edith.
Of course,
Lovely.
I learn. To prove to people, it's not like I bought them at the store and then threw soil on them. Why would I lie?
They were authentic.
Why would I take the time? So that's what about you? What have you been doing in your garden?
Well, I have been watering. I got to tell you, I've been watering December, January, the garden, because we're still in a very severe drought.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we have a little snow cover that can deal with that now. And I went out and I covered my rosemary plant.
Good.
So because we started getting colder temperatures, when it gets below 20 degrees at night, I wrapped it in some frost cloth and put a bucket on it. And then I did the same thing with my new forsythia bush that I planted.
Well, that's probably a good idea, Christy.
I'm worried because I planted it so late.
Yeah.
It was October, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it didn't really have a time to establish its roots really well.
I watered it really well before the snow came. I wrapped it in some frost cloth, and I put a really large, because it's pretty good, so I put a really big bucket on top of that. And then we're not gonna take them off until the temperatures get above 20 at night.
You know, speaking of rosemary, my rosemary and my basil, the ones that I brought in to my house, are still alive.
They look good.
Yeah.
I put a little basil in like the stems in a glass of water, and so it's rooting, and it's still there, and it's still green, it's still alive.
Christy, I'm going to do that too I'm going to snip some and put it in water. And I've been misting the rosemary, which we found out is why it always died. It was too dry.
Yes, because it takes its moisture from the air, not from the roots, and so it's so easy to overwater a rosemary, and it can still dry up. So that's good.
That's exciting. That means the garden lives on through January.
Right. I also filled my bird bath.
Oh, good.
Because I just been thinking, like, if it's so dry out there, where are the birds getting any water?
Remember I told you when I watered I just laid the hose down and bees came and were shrinking?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
I have some news on my attic garden.
Oh, yeah?
So
how's it going up there?
This is the time of year, friends, that I've moved a lot of things up there. Last year, all my geraniums died in the garage, so I put them in the attic. I went up there, but I have a note to myself on my calendar to go up there once a month and check them out and give them some water. And first of all, all 5 plants are still alive. They're all green. And dang it, Edith, they're flowering.
Your geranium?
Yes.
Are flowering?
I cut them down about a good 2/3. I cut them down. And 2 of them are flowering. And not only that, but one of the ones I did for stems, I just stuck in some water.
Yeah.
Right? One of those is flowering.
Wait a minute. You have one in water that rooted?
A stem. It hasn't really rooted yet.
But it's flowering?
It's flowering.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Are you going to cut the flowers off the ones in the pots or let it go?
I'm just letting them be, I guess.
Huh.
They look happy.
What about your pepper? Your tubular, what is it? Tubular peppers? What
yes,
are they?
I had 2 peppers. One is a boquinto and the other was a torbino. And all the leaves fell off, which they say don't panic when the leaves fall off when you bring a pepper inside. And one looks okay. I'm worried about the boquinto because it looks like it might be dying. I don't know.
Is that the little bell-shaped one? That
yes.
Really wonderful, cute
so
thing?
Cute and tiny, tiny little peppers. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I watered it. They're there. That'll be the grand experiment that keeps on going. And I did my last harvest of my tomatoes in the attic.
Oh, good.
And this is we have different categories of our garden party, folks. We have curmudgeons and lawn chair lettuces and deadheaders. And one of our categories is our attic tomatoes, because when we first started the podcast, I brought up buckets and buckets and buckets of green tomatoes into the attic, and I left them all there. And 10 months later.
Yeah, she forgot about them, folks. So they ripened and then rotted.
Right. And then started disappearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, just fell in amongst themselves.
Well, all the members of the garden parties who are attic tomatoes will be glad to know that I've harvested the last of the attic tomatoes. And I'll show you here, Edith. I got,
wow. That's wonderful.
Maybe just a couple, basketfuls of small little tomatoes.
I mean, it's past Christmas. It's January, and you're still eating tomatoes from the garden.
Yeah, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to roast them
Mm-hmm.
and either put them in salsa or maybe tomato soup or put them in soups.
Christy, when you put them in the attic, did you cover them with newspaper?
Yep,
Did you just cover them with newspaper. Put them all in individually or just a sheet of newspaper?
Just a sheet of newspaper.
It works, folks. It works. It's so easy, and you can have tomatoes for months.
What's next, Edith? Oh, we should tell people that we're still in our Persephone period.
Oh, yes, which means we're only doing new shows every other week.
And then every other week, we do an encore, a repeat of something because, folks, it's the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
We're slowing down.
And we're old. We're tired.
But after
yeah.
January 27th, our Persephone period ends, and we'll start talking about all the things we could be doing in the garden. And if you want to, we also have a new pod play just for the garden party. And if you want to hear that new pod play, just become a member by going to our website.
Yeah, which is upsidedowntulips.com.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
And if you should also check out our website for the funny and informative Upside Down Dictionary.
If we use words, that you don't know, we don't do that often, but sometimes we do. There they are. You kind of learn what it is, but you also get a laugh along with it.
And we also have some fun stuff on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and YouTube.
We're everywhere.
And now here is a brand new pod play, handcrafted just for you, called Hamlet the Gardener.
Yeah.
Oh, that this too solid ice would melt, thaw, and resolve itself into a dew. Oh, God. Oh, God. How weary, stale, flat, and unprofitable seem to me all the uses of this garden. Fie on it. Oh, fie. 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely.
Hamlet, it's winter in Denmark. Of course the ground is frozen solid.
But 2 months dead, Ophelia.
Zone 9, Hamlet. It happens every year.
Oh, most pernicious woman. Oh, villain. Villain, smiling, damned villain.
I don't control the seasons.
To weed or not to weed? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous bindweed or to pull them out. This weed of troubles and, by thus doing, end them.
Nobody weeds in the winter because it's pointless. The ground is frozen.
I have of late, but wherefore I know not, lost all my mirth. Then, oh God, I'll seed. Ophelia, get thee to a nursery and procure me some seeds. Get thee to a nursery. Go! Farewell. To a nursery go, and quickly too.
Hamlet, you get like this every winter when you can no longer garden. Look, here's something you wrote to me last summer. I'll read it to you. What a piece of work is a garden. How noble the gardener, how infinite in faculty. In form and moving, how express and admirable. In action, how like an angel. In apprehension, how like a god. The beauty of the world. Give it a little while, Hamlet. The garden will be back.
All right, Ophelia. Let's go sit by the brook.
Yes, let's do. I love the brook.
So, Edith,
Yes.
last year we talked about our garden plans for 2021.
Yes.
And I looked back at the list of things I said I was going to do.
Yeah, and did you do any of them?
I did. Of all the things I said I was going to do, where I said, I'm going to plant a new kind of sunflower.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go to raised beds.
Hey, you did, though. You planted a new kind of sunflower.
Not
That big, beautiful one. You did, remember?
the
perennial
perennial one that somebody
sunflower.
gave me. Yes, but I was going to do a whole new border in the back of my vegetable.
You didn't do that, did
Didn't
you?
do it. Said I was going to go to raised beds. Didn't do it.
Slacker.
Said I was going to dig up a big chunk of the front yard to put in a succulent garden.
Uh-huh.
Didn't do it.
You're a slug-a-bed.
The only thing I did was I said I wanted to plant a forsythia bush,
Uh-huh.
which I did at the last second, just
Mhm.
planting it in October.
Well, that's okay.
The best laid
The best laid.
plans of mice and men.
The best
oft
laid
go
person.
awry.
Okay.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, but it's still good to make a plan.
It's always good to make a plan. It gives you something to beat yourself up about.
That's right. And it also tells you folks that, Edith,
What?
remember we had one of these inspiration quotes last year,
No.
which was, anyone who thinks that gardening begins in the spring and ends in the fall is missing the best part of the whole year.
Which is the planning.
Gardening
right? The
begins
dreaming.
in January with the dream.
Yes.
So
with the
planning is super fun.
dreaming.
It's sort of like, do you ever go on a trip? The trip is really fun, but planning the trip is also fun.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So here we're going on a trip for gardening. The planning part, who knows what it's going to be?
Yes. Now, if you've never, however, say you've never had a garden, we encourage you so much to have a garden. I mean, you might want to listen to our episode about From the Ground Up. That's like
Yes.
for beginning gardeners.
We just repeated it last week.
Mm-hmm. But a couple more things to say about that is, what I love about when people plant a garden, you can pick what kind of garden. Like people will have a salad garden. Everything that they love that goes in a salad. I know people that have a salsa garden.
Yes.
What about a fermentation garden?
Oh, that would be fun.
Wouldn't that be fun? You could, because it's little cucumbers, it's cabbage. Sorry about your cabbage experience. Not
the pain,
Yeah,
the pain.
I'm really-
Gunther, my Gunther sauerkraut. No, why did you have to bring it up?
I'm sorry. You can.
I'm good.
Oh, good. You can have. I thought about this. You can have a winter food garden,
Oh, that's great.
a garden where, like, you plant a lot of winter squash and you plant a lot of root vegetables, and you extend your season. Gosh knows how long. You with the winter squash, you can extend your season till the spring and beyond. Some of that stuff lasts for a year.
It's fun to come up with different kinds of themes.
Mm-hmm. It sure is. So you can make it. You can make it thematic. You could plant new gardeners. You could plant a child's garden.
Oh, wouldn't that be great?
We should do a whole episode about that. Planting a child's garden with the child's help to get them interested.
Edith, I just had this picture of you gardening with your new granddaughter.
Oh yeah,
Isn't that going to be
yes,
great
that's gonna
when
be-
she's old enough to do that? When
Yeah.
she's not just
yeah, Not-
cooing and
not just cooing.
Yeah.
She's close to stopping the cooing and just going straight to screaming all the time. We've made some progress.
such a good age.
Such a good. So anyway, for the new gardeners and stuff, there's also resources. We were talking earlier about it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be expensive at all. And check your area where you live. Like here we have Denver Urban Gardens.
And now what they're doing at Denver Urban Gardens is that they are offering programs where they will be supplying people of any pocketbook,
Mm-hmm.
seeds and seedlings. You have to apply, and you can
Mhm.
just go to Denver Urban. Is this Doug.org?
Yeah.
And there might be something similar in your neck of the woods.
Yes. There probably is, because gardening has gotten to be really a more important thing that's happening again, just like it did during World War II.
You know, another good place to learn some planning techniques are on Facebook, Edith. There are a lot of Facebook groups out there that would be specific to your individual neighborhood and
Yes.
area. And
Yes.
you can find out, you can ask questions, so you can find out what people are, what problems people have. You can create a whole new community.
You know what else you can find is people are always giving things away for free. They'll say, I have a huge mulch pile in my driveway. Come and get it. You have traded, haven't you?
Oh man, you know what, Edith? That's part of my garden plan this year, is that I'm looking at what's in my garden that I have too much of. And one of them are ornamental grasses. For some reason, does this ever happen to you, Edith, where some plant will just go, I am reseeding like crazy?
Yeah.
And so I've had several ornamental grasses that have really reseeded. Angel hair, prairie dropseed, and I have some Carl Foresters that I need to divide. And so part of my plan for 2022 is to give it away so I can have more room for other things.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Jupiter's beard. I have way too much Jupiter's beard in my yard.
And then people don't have to go and buy it, and you make a new acquaintance.
Yes, because gardeners are the nicest people.
They really are. I totally agree. I think what I'm going to do, and this is part of my pre-planning, is I'm going to post. If anybody, for example, wants marigold seeds, I have way too many, as you know.
Yeah.
I can put them on my porch. They can come at their leisure and just pick them up. Wouldn't it be amazing if everybody had seeds and then they put them out in the alleys and stuff and everything was just beautiful and full of flowers and stuff?
Yeah, as opposed to full of graffiti and trash.
Yes, graffiti and trash and weeds, 8 foot, 9 foot high weeds.
Yeah, like creeping bellflower.
Oh, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
She's bringing that up, folks, probably because I mentioned her dying sauerkraut. But when I first moved into my house, I didn't do enough planning and I didn't do enough research. So I collected seeds, creeping bellflower seeds, and I planted them. I collected them from the alley because I thought they were pretty. And now I will never get rid of them as long as I live.
They're there.
They're there.
Huh? I still have them in my yard.
Yeah.
They come up.
They come up and, all you can do is control it.
You know why? It's because they come up in my garden, Edith, in the echinacea. Because they look very similar to that plant. And boy, they're sneaky.
They are sneaky. They definitely have a consciousness. And we're finding out that trees do, but I believe that all plants do. How does a morning glory realize that there is a stick next to it? And it literally bends over and wraps itself around.
Yeah.
It just
doesn't
knows.
have eyes.
No. Must be something about temperature or, I don't know, maybe they actually have a consciousness. I don't know.
Going to make me feel really sad about the potatoes I have upstairs. I'm making mashed potatoes later. Sorry.
Oh, I'm making myself feel bad now too. Darn it.
Anything else for the early gardeners before we start talking a little bit about our garden plants for the year?
Okay, one thing I want to say to them is if you've never done this before, you might want to go with seedlings versus seeds.
That's a great idea.
When you start, there are certain things that it's better to seed. That even for the beginner, like carrots, you can hardly find carrot seedlings. It just doesn't.
I've seen them in the nursery. I kid you not, Edith.
You really, folks, don't have to do that because they're going to come up.
But you could just go to your local nursery and buy seedlings. Yeah. You could get, you could get an eggplant for
tomato, pepper, stuff that's more difficult to grow.
And it doesn't have to be a really big one either.
No.
Get a small one. You don't need to get the $15 really huge tomato plants. You can get the $5 little one.
You can get even the littler one for $2, $3, unless the prices have jacked up by then. But folks, we don't want you to get discouraged. That's what the whole thing is about. I made a lot of mistakes when I first started gardening. So I'm telling you this just because that's a mistake I made as well.
And start small. That'd be the other advice. And you're planning is start small.
Start small.
Don't plant a farm.
Don't do a farm. No, even if you don't have one. Don't do your neighbor's farm.
Let's gather your papers together, Edith.
Yes, okay.
And let's let everybody enjoy a new pod play.
Very good. Hey, Mulch.
Hi, Compost. How are you?
Not good. I smell bad. The gardener has not turned me, and not turning the compost will cause anaerobic bacteria to become dominant and slow decomposition down. Turning the compost adds oxygen and helps break stuff down. Other than being stinky and feeling ignored by the gardener, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine. Except the gardener hasn't spread me around the garden yet, and it's winter already, so I'm just a useless pile of wood chips.
It's just sad not to fulfill one's destiny.
You've got that right, Compost. But I've done something about it.
Oh?
The gardener works in the theater and listens to a lot of music, so I'm writing a musical for the gardener.
That's genius, Mulch. You are so much more than just a useless pile of wood chips. What's it called?
It's called Les Miserables Mulch. So, first a song to set the scene. All the lonely mulch piles, where do they all come from? All the lonely mulch piles, where do they all belong?
I love it.
Then a song that tries to get an emotional response from the gardener. Try to remember that time in September when you spread the mulch and fields were fallow. Try to remember that kind of September when days were short and lights get shallow. Try to remember that kind of September you spread the mulch and you weren't callow. Try to remember, and if you remember, then follow. Are you crying?
Maybe. Or maybe, because the gardener hasn't turned me in so long, I'm just seeping. But that was a beautiful song, Mulch.
Thank you, Compost. Now a more upbeat song that urges the gardener to action. Bump, bump, ba-da-da-da, start spreading the mulch. It needs it today. I want to be a part of it. Your yard, your yard.
Oh, if I could, I would spread you, Mulch.
And I would turn you, Compost.
You're the best friend ever.
I've one more song. This is the closer to Les Miserables Mulch. Big finish! Ba-dum-bum-bum, master of the yard, doling up the charm, ready with a shovel and an open palm, spreads the mulch so, for the master knows, guard they appreciate the protection, glad to do the yard a favor. It'll thank you in the spring, but nothing gets you nothing, even mulch it has a little price.
Bravo! Oh, Mulch, you only cost a few bucks for a bag, and you're worth so much more.
Surely the gardener will hear this and be out here and take care of unfinished business.
And if not, maybe we should forgive the gardener. They are probably extremely busy. We'll still be here in the spring, and in the meantime, I can watch TV.
And I can listen to music and write more songs. Bring me loam, pretending it's beside me, all alone.
Hey, I'm right here.
I'm just being dramatic. All alone, I wait for it till morning. Okay, let's talk about what we're hoping to do in our gardens in 2022. Should we start with flowers?
Yes, please. Start with flowers.
Well,
I'm not going to have any. Kidding.
You have no plants or flowers?
No, I really don't.
You let your flowers do their own thing.
I do let them.
But let me ask you this though, Edith.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna winter sow some foxglove?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about winter sowing. I'm going to winter sow. Oh, what are those ones that I love? Those really tall ones with the zinnias.
Zinnias? Yes.
I will do some foxglove, but zinnias, I did them last year. I winter sowed them last year. And now I want so many more zinnias. They're so beautiful.
Folks, winter sowing is an outdoor method of seed starting. If you want to know about it, we're going to do a new version of it coming up in a couple of weeks. Or you can go back to our episode called Take Out Your Jugs and Learn How to Winter Sow.
Folks, you won't believe how cool. So yes, that's part of my plan is more winter sowing, and some of that will be flowers.
I know for sure I always do foxglove because it's a biannual. And of course, last year I did not do enough zinnia. And of course, zinnias is something you can also just stick in the ground in June too, and they'll pop up. And I just didn't do enough last year. One of my plans is to do a lot of zinnia. I'm also going to do a lot more of those African marigolds.
Oh, those are beautiful.
These were like 3 feet tall, and I collected so much seed off of that. And you know what? We should put that on the list for the garden party, Edith.
Yes.
I'm happy to give away, if you're in the garden party, folks, we give away seeds from our own garden. And I'll put that on the list because those seeds were like, those flowers were 3 feet tall and pom-poms, like softball sized flowers. They were so great. So
Yeah.
no, I'm going to do a lot more of those. I didn't plant any bulbs last year, Edith. So one of my plans is to plant bulbs. I know I'm going to regret it when I go out in the spring and, I have daffodils and tulips and crocuses, hyacinths. So that's my say it out loud, because if you say a goal out loud, you have a higher chance of achieving it.
Yes.
So I'm saying it out loud that I want to plant a lot more bulbs.
And I'm saying out loud that I finally, after 20 some years, would like to divide my iris.
Good.
And I even know I'm not
good.
going to do it. I know I'm not going to do it.
Well, I'll help you remember. You know what? The best time to divide iris, Edith,
When?
is in July.
Okay.
And the reason why it's hard to do it is because it's just so gosh dang hot.
It is. Yeah.
You have to go out at 4 a.m. to go divide your iris, or do it at 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
With a light to help you with it. Okay, so those are some of our flower plans. What about veggies? What are you going to do for veggies this year, Edith?
Well, absolutely. I'm going to plant more hybrid tomatoes.
Me
Because
too.
that
That's
is-
in my plan also.
Well, that is such a mistake that I made, only doing the heirlooms, and then they all come in at the same time of the summer. And I want some early ones. And I always lose 1 or 2 of the heirloom. And
To a fungus?
yes, to the fungus. That seems
Some kind of wilt, some sort of blight, early blight, late blight, verticillium wilt.
So I need to do more tomatoes than I think I need, because those are important to me to have tomatoes.
Well, one of the things I said I was going to do last year was winter sow more vegetables. And I winter sowed tomatoes last year, but I just made a mess out of them. So, I mean, it's just embarrassing. Like, I did it too late. They were puny. And then, of course, I had one that I just left in the milk jug all summer long. And it's just so sad and so pathetic. And, and normally, and so I'm going to try it again, though. That's one of my goals, to see if I can winter sow some tomatoes.
Okay, that'll be interesting.
But I am going to buy hybrids also, because hybrids, folks, will just have a bit more disease resistance to it.
Christy, I've never seen anybody do as much winter sowing as you do. I mean, you must have had 30 jugs out there last
Yeah,
summer.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. And a lot of them germinated.
Yeah, that
Most
is
of them
good.
did. Yeah. Some didn't, but that's okay.
Yeah, that is okay.
Yeah. What else are you going to grow in the vegetable garden?
I'm definitely going to grow more Swiss chard, which is the new star. It's the new star of
That's
my
because
garden.
of that listener, Lulu, right? Who wrote into us and she chastised us for
Lula,
not like
yes.
Lula. Yeah. Sorry. Yes.
And I was so ridiculous. I said I didn't like Swiss chard when I had never even tasted it. I felt like a 5-year-old kid. I'm like, what am I doing?
It's a really pretty plant.
It's-
Sometimes I grow things just because they're pretty,
It's
like
gold.
eggplant.
Some of them are gold. Some of them are
Ooh.
red. Some of them are green. It's because I grew rainbow chard.
Oh.
And I'm going to grow more of them because they lengthen the season like nothing I've ever seen.
That's awesome. But you know what I'm going to grow is romaine lettuce, Edith.
Uh-huh.
I do not know why I have not planted. I've never grown romaine lettuce. I'll grow like a leaf lettuce. I'll grow spinach.
Mm-hmm.
I'll grow kale. But every week I buy romaine lettuce. And then I run out of it. Like, I eat romaine every other day because I like a Caesar salad.
Uh-huh.
I like that lettuce a lot. I like it. It's crunchy. You know what I mean? I like the crunch part about it. It's leafy. And why have I never grown it? This year I'm growing it.
Good. Very good. I've grown that a couple of times. But remember, Christy, there's a lot of different varieties to it.
Yeah.
I grew a spotted one once that was really pretty.
Ooh.
Not as crispy as what you get in the store, but it was really pretty and I really liked it. So yeah, I'm going to do as much lettuce as I possibly can. And one of the reasons for that is that the lettuce dies out early. And by that, it gets too hot, it wilts, and it's over. So it double packs your garden in the same patch.
Especially here in zone 5B and
Yeah.
the Front Range of Colorado
Yeah.
gets so hot.
So it doubles your potential
Yeah.
if you grow lettuce.
Last year in plants, I said I was going to grow Viraflave spinach. That's that giant spinach that you grow.
Yes.
Guess what?
What?
Didn't plant it. So this year I'm going to plant it.
You know what? I planted it and it didn't take. It took the year before. Remember how I was
Yeah.
raving about it?
Yeah.
It didn't take. I got to plant that too. That was my favorite spinach I ever tasted.
I think my mistake is that I couldn't find it. I waited until February to buy seeds.
Uh-huh.
So I got to have to maybe buy seeds earlier because it was all gone.
Oh my gosh, that's such a good point, Christy. I have been looking at seed catalogs. They're already sold out of so many things.
Which is great. And, you know, the reason why they're selling out is not because there's not enough seed. There's lots of seed, but they just don't have the people to process and package the seeds.
So everybody now, order now.
Which sounds like a hard job.
Yeah, it
Sorting
is.
seeds? Oh, it's not.
Yeah.
It's so monotonous.
So
Yeah, get your seeds now.
The other thing, I'm going to be very careful of planting anything under the peach tree and behind the peach tree.
Yeah, because you got all that shade now.
Because it shades. And it's going to get bigger. I have to remember that's just going to keep growing.
But it might be good to plant something different. Maybe something that wants shade.
Yeah. In fact, lettuce probably.
Plant some lettuce underneath that. I'm also, as God is my witness, having a zucchini plant this year, Edith.
Yeah, you have to.
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm probably going to have the opposite problem. Last year, I couldn't get any to work. I'm going to sow so much zucchini. I'm going to have 50 plants, but I am. And I'm also going to have butternut squash because I'm tired of spaghetti squash. The spaghetti squash.
It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing from butternut.
But it keeps, showing up in my compost pile.
Well, one of my plans is I am not going to let volunteers go this year unless it's lettuce. But if it's any kind, if it's any kind of a squash, it's out of there.
Yes.
I'm going to plant raspberries.
Yes, you do, because you couldn't find any last year.
I couldn't find any last year. Well, now I found a friend who is going to give me some.
Oh, good.
Give me some plants.
I would say this about herbs is that, I'd love to plant the herbs that are very expensive to buy in the grocery store. Yeah. But I planted mine in a way too shady of a spot last year. So I'm going to put my expensive herbs like savory, tarragon, marjoram. I'm going to do them in containers this year.
Oh, that's so smart. That's so smart.
My basil did great in a container last year. So I'm going to try them. And, they'll be pretty on my back patio.
They look really pretty. I planted fennel last year. I remember when I planted, I bought a seedling. And you said, oh, I'm so over fennel. And now I see why. It took over the entire herb garden, and it was inedible. I was like, what am I doing?
And you know what I didn't plant last year, which I think is so wonderful, I'm going to plant this year, is dill. Like, how could I not have planted dill?
Oh, my dill was really wonderful last year.
Dill. I'm planting dill.
Finally, and this is the biggest change of all that I am making. I saw our friend Carrie from Southwest Gardens. He has a field next to the nursery, and he plants garden for all of his workers.
Yeah, I saw that.
He does this. His garden is on a slope, like mine, a gentle slope. He'll plant a row of seeds, and then he digs 2 gullies on either side of it. So to water, he just lays the hose down at the top, and it runs down the gully and waters itself. Now, you have to, of course, water by hand or however you water when it's seeds, but once they get big enough, that way I don't have to go to every single plant and every single part of my yard. Yes. I'm going to try that this year.
That could save you hours.
It really could save me hours.
Also, please consider again the drip system, because 2 years ago I didn't do the drip system. Last year I had my drip system in, and I tell you, it made my garden better, and it gave me just a little breathing room. Yeah. You're right that it's good to get out there with the hose and see what's going on, and you can spray off bugs and all that stuff. But on those days when you don't want to, you want to sleep in, or you've just got stuff to do, the drip system can save you. Look, what if you got back an hour a day?
Maybe that will be 2023 in our garden planning for them.
All right. Well, I think we got enough to do for 2022.
I think we're loaded up. Right.
Oh my gosh. Let's see what
we actually do.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I'd be interested to see what people are going to do.
Yeah.
Like, so if you have fun garden plans, folks, please write to us and tell us what it is.
Yeah, that would be great. Christy.
Edith.
You know what time it is.
Oh, I hope it's mailbag.
It is. Ring, ring.
Ring, ring. Time for mailbag. This letter, Edith, comes from Uta from Washington, D.C.
I'm related to someone named Uta.
Does she live in Washington, D.C.?
She does.
Well, let's find out.
Okay.
She writes, Hello, garden doyens. I have been listening to your podcast from the beginning, and not just to hear my sister's voice.
It's my sister.
I've been gardening like a maniac, and you two have been right there with me, offering so much good information and inspiration. I'm in Zone 6B, and the garden gets full sun at least 8 hours in the height of summer. Our summers have been beastly hot for the last few years, and I'm wondering if I need to shade the brassicas for the hottest part of the day. I don't have lawn chairs, so could you talk about other methods that are inexpensive and effective? Well, thanks so much for writing, Uta. And the first thing I want to say is I loved how she said, hello, garden doyens. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's a French word. I had to look it up. And it means a woman who is the most respected person in a particular field.
Ooh.
So I guess in the field of humorous garden podcasts.
Yeah, we the boss.
That's right.
I like how she said, I don't have lawn chairs.
Yes.
Referring to lawn chair lettuces because both you and I sometimes shade our stuff because we have an excess lawn chair.
Lawn chairs are great ways to shade things. It's, I'll put it over my lettuce in the heat of the summer, and that my arugula stayed all summer long because of that.
Mine too. So what are other ways? How about a broken umbrella?
Oh, that would be perfect.
How about leaning over it protectively?
An umbrella is great. Also, you could take one of those camping canopies and put those over.
Oh, yes, you could, couldn't you?
You could take, there's a special kind of cloth that you can get that's called shade cloth. And you can get it, you could buy it online on Amazon or at a nursery or even a big box store. And you could, gear up some chairs or some sawhorses. Or
you could even get, that they're so inexpensive, those metal hoops. You could just get hoops. And then you could actually literally put any kind of material on top of it in the heat of the summer
And you
day.
don't need an expensive clip. You can just use, those binder clips from the Office Depot, right?
Or use clothespins. I have
the clothespins could work too.
Mm-hmm.
There also, you could now consider putting some things that like the shade in a container.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm.
Because then you can move it around.
Yeah.
And then now they have those containers, Edith, that are on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you fill your container up halfway with styrofoam, packing peanuts, not all the way filled with soil, it wouldn't be that heavy to move around.
And my other sister, she has been growing in grow bags, which rather than being, what is the material I'm going for in my head? The material that a pot is made out of?
Like terracotta or
plastic?
Yes. Okay.
So anyway, a grow bag is very light because it's made out of cloth.
Oh, that's a good idea. So that you can move those around and you can put it into a shaded area. Now, if you had money, boy, wouldn't it be nice to have a pergola section in your garden?
Oh, yeah.
So if you had a little section, you could corner off and put a pergola over that. Or, grow a tree.
You could grow an orchard.
But if you just have an area,
to shade.
If you have an area that you just want a shaded area, like you're going to do with your peach tree, right?
Yeah.
You could plant tall things around your lettuce, like sunflowers.
That's right. That's a really good idea.
Corn. Mm-hmm. What else grows really tall, Edith? We'll give it some shade.
Your African violets, zinnias.
Oh,
not African violet, African marigolds.
Yes. You could also do. Here's another thought too. Is how I grow my cucumbers, Edith, is that I have them in a teepee.
Yes.
And they grow up this teepee type thing. But underneath that teepee is shade.
Aha. You could grow lettuce under there.
You could grow lettuce under there. And also we should clarify that brassicas are members of the cabbage and mustard family. So that is broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, arugula, bok choy, that type of family.
Yeah, I did not know that.
It's weird. It's all in that family because you kind of go, arugula and Brussels sprouts are in the same family.
Yeah, that is interesting.
But, families are made up of all sorts of weird things, aren't they?
Weird people, you mean? Things? She
Weird
doesn't want to
people.
say weird people.
That's right. Not talking about your family, Edith and Uta. Not at all.
No, we don't have any weirdos in our family.
Not at all. So I hope, Uta, that gives you some ideas on how to have some shade in your garden, because as we know from these fires that happen in Colorado, that with drought and happening, how important shade is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just going to get hotter.
And also, if you have any new plans for your next garden, let us know.
Oh, we want to hear that. Write to us.
Yeah.
Folks, please tell us what your garden plans are for 2022. If you have any stories, successes, flops, write to us at
upsidedowntulips@gmail.com or our website at upsidedowntulips.com.
Ring, ring. It's a clean slate for the garden. Edith, do you have any inspiration for us?
I do. It's a Chinese proverb. If you want to be happy for a day, get drunk. If you want to be happy for a year, get married. But if you want to be happy for a lifetime, plant a garden.
Beautiful.
Isn't that beautiful?
Well said. We hope everyone plants a garden this year. We are Edith Weiss and Christy Montour Larson. Thanks so much, everybody, for listening.
Maybe you could become some kind of a subscriber or garden party person if you got some laughs and value out of this episode.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, or follow button wherever you listen to your podcasts.
Thank you, Denise Gentilini, for composing and performing the Upside Down Tulips theme song.
And if you want more, just go to denisegentilini.com, or you can find that link at our website.
Many thanks to our kind friend and talented actor, Jason Maxwell.
And thank you to our excellent yet enigmatic engineer.
Special thanks to our local nursery and friend of the show, Southwest Gardens.
And join us next week for a new pod play for the garden party and an awesome repeat on winter sowing for everyone else.
Don't forget now, if you make a mistake,
your garden will forgive you.
Upside down tulips.
Did you hear the World Health Organization announce that dogs cannot contract COVID-19?
No, I haven't.
So that means dogs previously in quarantine can now be released. That's right, Edith. Who let the dogs out? Who let the dogs out?